And there are people that have much bigger platforms than Jen and I do that are using it to protect this genocidal state and its unholy alliance that it has formed within our country. And I don't believe we should be sitting idly by as that happens. One of those people who's doing that is Jack Posobiec. I have never discussed him once on this show before, but I have to discuss him now because it's obvious what he's up to. Because I want anyone who actually follows him to understand exactly what he's doing here when he tries to insinuate this idea that the patsy is still the person who responsible for what happened to Charlie Kirk in Utah just over a month ago. So he's still going with it. Why? There's only one reason why. He's in the club. He's on the payroll. So here's what he decided to put out there. And then we're going to see the counter argument to what he's doing.
That is on that roof. Does that line up that you guys uncovered with that? Was that that he's using that stick camera? Does that line up with the video from where we see the individual that they've identified as Tyler Robinson?
Yes, and we know that for two reasons. The first time I went out, 2 weeks after Charlie had passed, the FBI actually had a yellow measuring tape that was taped to the cement wall of the Losi building. And I believe that they were measuring the hand to the last bit of that. You can also tell there's a split in the window pane just below this frame when you see him jump off. And you can see that it lines up exactly with where he comes off the building. The other thing you'll notice, Jack, is see that dust? There's no other markings on there. The only place that there were markings up and down all of that guttering system is right where Tyler Robinson jumped off.
There is no proof that Tyler Robinson was on that roof. You're telling me almost 6 weeks later, you now have a palm print that you can identify was Tyler Robinson's? How do we know that when he was indicted, he didn't have his palms fingerprinted, handprinted? How do we know that somebody didn't go and put that right up there on the roof? Look what I found. I found the Carcano rifle that shot the President of the United States. I found the palm print that proves that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk. With a .30-06, by the way. The only reason that somebody would do something of this nature, bring on a guy, a spook, to say, I found the palm print. Why would you believe that? What exactly gives you the idea that this is what actually happened? There has been nothing to this point that has suggested that this is what happened. But instead, Jack Posobiec is proving once again that this is not about the truth. This is not about actually uncovering what really went down. And everyone who here knows that I don't love Charlie Kirk. Not at all. I respected his grift. He was great at it. He was a real leader. No two ways about it. And yes, I do believe that he was having an attack of conscience regarding his faith and the direction that his organization was going. And he was not having it, which is why the last topic tonight you guys are going to want to stick around for, we're going to dissect Josh Hammer. Jack Posobiec is proving once and for all that anyone who's a part of Shitlibbery or Conservative Inc. that is not going right for the throat, no pun intended, when it comes to this issue, as far as I'm concerned, if they're not on the take, they're a dupe. They should be. Don't give it up for free. At least get paid. But Posobiec has a pretty big platform. And perhaps that platform would be in danger if he didn't play along and continue to espouse this idea that the patsy's the one who really did it. And the only reason that would be the case is if you're trying to cover something up. But he has a little more to say.
So when I saw this, I was like, wow, okay, that is a huge piece of evidence. And we were told in the paperwork that was submitted for the legal briefing that they have a palm print, that they have fingerprints on a screwdriver. They're going to have the gun. So then what I started doing, I started working with forensic experts to understand ballistics, to understand how they would use X-rays to follow the path of the bullet through Charlie's body, where the bullet was found, how they found the fragments. I'm not an expert in all of this, but I'm really good at asking questions.
Well, there you have it. He's not an expert. He's actually a moron, but he asks a few good questions, and maybe you'll be willing to buy it. But I think we've got a smart audience here. We've got 500 of you watching. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please make sure that you do. Let's get to 600 live viewers while we're at it. I don't think for 1 second, that this guy believes anything he's saying. I think it's scripted. I think he was told what to say, and he's going right along with it. He's got that hairstyle that reminds me of that movie. I can't remember the name of it. It's a black and white movie from, it's like the hair is like really on, he's like electrocuted. Somebody in the chat's going to know what I'm talking about. Steve and Posobiec, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. And I'm going to show you why it's bullshit. Johnny Bravo. There you go. Thank you. So here's why this is bullshit. You guys saw that we highlighted some information the other night directly from James Lee, friend of the show. We're here to give James Lee another shout out. Here is what he had to say. This is his second part series about the direct connection between Charlie Kirk and Israel regarding the assassination.
Heard. Once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, 3 times is enemy action.
That's the medical examiner. It is a woman named Dr. Deidre Weiss Amaro, and she blew in from California. She was announced as the new state medical examiner in May of 2024. So I'm interested in learning as much as I can about this medical examiner. I'd like to know more about this medical examiner.
You know who else wanted to know more about Dr. Deidre Amaro? It's our friends over there in the state of Israel. But check out this date, June 30th, 2025, a sudden spike in the interests of the head medical examiner of the state of Utah, Dr. Deidre Amaro, emanating from, once again, the state of Israel, for reasons unknown. What about Timpanogos Regional Hospital, the hospital where Charlie Kirk was declared dead? Well, there's pretty much no interest in Timpanogos Regional Hospital in the state of Israel, because why would there be? Except this spike that happened about a month before Charlie Kirk's death. That is very odd. And it was a surgeon from this hospital that told us that Charlie Kirk was a quote-unquote man of steel, and that his body stopped a bullet that would typically just go through everything, and it was an absolute miracle.
So now you know where Andrew Colvett got his talking point from. He got it from this very special doctor who came in and said, Charlie Kirk is a man of steel and his neck is a miracle. The only way that somebody makes a statement like that is if they're trying to cover something up. Period. There is no other reason. You ask anybody, including Mr. Bosch, who will be joining us soon, who is a Marine and is probably very familiar with all different types of weaponry, and will say there is no way that the suggested artillery used against him would not have severed his head off. But keep believing the bullshit. Keep drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm not buying it, and neither should you.
We don't know yet which surgeon supposedly said that, but here are a few surgeons who work at Timpanogos Regional Hospital. We got Dr. Stephen Nealman, Dr. Robert Patterson, Dr. Lee Peterson, Dr. Lee Trotter, just to name a few. I wonder if anybody was searching for these folks.
Stephen Nealman, July 18th, 2025. This was out of our Friends on the other side of the planet over there. Very curious about the surgeons in Utah, you'll find out. Robert Patterson, MD, July 23 and 24. I go to the next one, Lee Trotter, someone with an IP address originating in Israel, looking up surgeon Lee Trotter, near about that same July 20 time period.
How can anybody in the state of Israel know exactly where to look up these very specific doctors in this very specific place that was ultimately going to be viewing the supposed autopsy report of Charlie Kirk? It's not a coincidence. It's not 1 in a million. It's not 1 in a billion. It's probably 1 in a trillion. Again, there are no coincidences here. It could not be more obvious. But that is one of the true benefits of living with modern technology. There's a lot of disadvantages, to be fair. However, this is one of those situations where having modern technology, it somewhat evens the playing field with the powers that be. As much as they want to sweep everything under the rug, they do not have the luxury of being able to get away with it the way that they once did. You cannot assassinate a president today like you did 62 years ago and get away with it. I mean, they didn't really get away with it, but at the time they were able to placate the public, not without the type of fervor. And again, we're only talking about a very impactful thought leader. We're not talking about the president of the United States, although that's a whole other can of worms, depending on how far down that rabbit hole you want to go with what happened in Pennsylvania. All I can say is that all these pieces continue to connect, that Israel is responsible for what happened. So we have to keep digging.
Are there other surgeons in the area? Yeah, as a matter of fact, there is. There's a guy named Lee Patterson. So I look up Lee Patterson. Somebody with an IP address originating in Israel in the week of July 20, that week on either side of July 20, was very interested in all the people who practice surgery at Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Orem, Utah.
So yeah, I don't know. We can either believe that there just happened to be a few people in the state of Israel in the month of July and August who were very interested in finding out more about a certain regional hospital in the state of Utah and who the state's head medical examiner was, and the different surgeons in the area. Or maybe there's just one too many coincidences to not investigate further. Oh, and by the way, I just checked what Google Trends looks like now. And yeah, looks like absolutely nothing to see here, guys.
Which means that they have officially removed the search. Somebody caught it. Thankfully, somebody was willing to spread it on social media. Thankfully, we got it in the nick of time. But as you can see, if you attempt to go search it now, you're not going to find it. This is the censorship, the whitewashing, if you will, that is going to happen. It is painfully obvious what they're doing. This is why the complete corporatocracy takeover of our country, which is technically fascism, the merger of the state and corporate power, this is what happens. So if you want the truth, it's not that you can't handle the truth, is that you're not allowed to know the truth, because the truth will set us all free. And maybe, just maybe, we're all going to be good enough to actually get the word out there and make it so.